Salute to all the Patreon members. I want to thank you guys for your support. It really means a lot to me. Links are in the description box below for this video right here. So if you want to check out the Patreon page, you guys can do so. If you want to check out the Facebook page, you guys can do so also. I uploaded, this week I think I uploaded like 2 or 3 new Patreon videos, and I have another video dropping right after this live. So you guys don't want to miss that. Check that out when you get a chance. All right, so I thought I actually did a live talking about this, but I checked on my feed and I see that I have not yet. I've mentioned this subject before in other videos, but I've never done an entire video talking about this, right? Never had a video where I just had the title as this, okay? So Thai women versus American women. This is what I have for you guys today for this live stream. If you guys can do me a favor, please hit the like button, share this video, leave a comment in the comment section below. All right. So I ran this subject past somebody that I know who also is from America that has spent just as much time over in Thailand as I have. And when I asked him this question, he was like, oh man, like his reaction was like, oh man, you know, like it took him a minute to think about it. But then we both came to the same answer, right? We both had the same answer when it took him some time to think about it. So we kind of both came to the same conclusion. But, you know, I'm gonna break this down a little bit. All right. So let's start off with Thai women. Now, this is an AI generated photo right here. This is not a real photo. I just typed in Thai women walking down Walking Street in Pattaya, Thailand. Now, you don't see this walking down Pattaya. You might see this walking down Khao San Road. All right. Women dressed respectively, you know, dressed like they're going out, trying to meet guys or whatever. Not over the top, but, you know, they want to go out and have some fun. You might see this image on Khao San Road, but you won't see this on Walking Street in Pattaya. On Walking Street in Pattaya, this is a totally different image. So just keep that in the back of your mind. This is an AI generated photo right here. All right. But I didn't want to show all the raunchy stuff. You know, I didn't want to show any raunchy images. I didn't think that would be fair because, you know, we could show raunchy on both sides. But I'm talking about women with class from both sides. I'm even talking about the women with class on both sides. All right. So in Thailand, I've mentioned this before, how a lot of women over there are very, you know, mentally, their mental thoughts are very volatile. You never know what it is that they're thinking. You never know what they're going to say next. You never know how they're going to respond to certain things that you say or do. You know, in America, you could pretty much tell a certain joke and get a certain reaction, you know, in a public space, someplace. You know, sometimes it might land flat, right? If I had to put a percent on it, you know, if you're a good conversationalist, 70% of the jokes you put out there, right, that, you know, you're trying to evoke a certain reaction, or some of the things you say, you know, you might say between 60 or 70%, you know, close to the 70 percentile, you know, I might expect this reaction saying this. All right. But in Thailand, it's like you don't really get that reaction, especially for a lot of black men. Women, they get so offended by anything and everything. And a lot of that has to do with the pigment of your skin, right? Because I've seen a lot of aggressive men from the dominant society over there, and people just kind of um, they kind of cater to whatever he needs or whatever he wants. Okay, how do we calm him down? How do we calm the foreigner down? How do we what does he want? How do we give him what he wants? Like, how to make him happy a little bit. Now that's not 100% of the time, but you see that a lot over in Thailand. Whereas you know, you're showing up nice, respectful, trying to get to know somebody, and getting to know somebody for whatever reason conjures up attitude from a lot of women over there. I can't tell you how many times I was either on a date or I was texting somebody, trying to get to know them, and they get mad, flip out, and say, "Why are you asking me all these questions? Who the hell are you? Are you the police?" And it's just typical questions, getting to know somebody. Like, "Hey, are you from Bangkok? Or where are you from? Like, where's your hometown in Thailand? Okay, what's it like over there? Oh, that's nice. So did you go to university over there? Did you go to university in Bangkok?" This, like, asking questions like this, like it, not all of them, but I've met quite a few Thai women who've gotten pissed off because I ask questions to get to know them, right? Hey, do you have any siblings? Oh, okay. You know, brother, sister, okay. Are you close with them? Why are you asking me all these questions? Like, are you the police? Like, you're like, damn, I can't ask questions to get to know you. Like, aren't we on a date? Right. So you never know how they're gonna react, how they're gonna respond. I've met up with women that have brought, like another girl with them out on a date, and I'm just like, hey, look, who is this? Oh, this is my friend, yada yada yada. Well, hey, you know what? You guys take care. I'm not trying to meet up with two people because I already know what's going to happen, right? They're going to talk amongst themselves and Ty the whole time. And, it's not to say that they won't talk with you, right? But it's like, I might not even get anywhere and I'm feeding two people today. And I don't feel like doing that, right? Have I done that before? Yes, I've done that. But I did that in Thailand with a Korean woman, right? Because we all went to school with each other. So I'm dating the friend, and then the friend brings her other friend that I met with her, right? Because when she approached me with her friend, and she was like, "Hey, this is my other friend. She's Korean also." And so, yeah, we're dating, but it's like, we would hang out with each other. Sometimes they would bring another friend. So it's like I'm dating one of them, which, to the public eye, it might not seem, they don't know, okay, is he friends with them or is he dating one of them? What's up with that? You just see me, a brother with three Korean women having a good time in Thailand. So that's totally different. There are women who I've never met in public, right? We probably met on a dating app, or we probably met at a university campus. And then it's like they bring their friend along, and I'm just like, hey, man, I'm not feeling this. So I gotta. You guys have a good day. I'm going back home. Right. I'm not feeding two people or three, including myself. That's not what I had planned today. Right. You didn't tell me this on the phone before we met up, because I wouldn't even have left the house had you told me that you bringing another friend. They just surprise you with somebody. Right. And I'm not saying that's never happened before in America, but that happens sometimes uh, in Asia, more specifically in Thailand. But, you know, some women, it's like like even when I went to university where most Thais had money, and I was cool with some of the male Thais that were there. There was some women there that were okay, right? But in general, a lot of the Thais, they would they would distance themselves from the foreigners, right? The women would do that also. It's like the only way they would like interact with us is if they were forced to be in a group with us in school, and they would kind of have to work with us, and then they get to know you a little bit, right? So, but other than that, they just kept to themselves. And then when they did get in a group with you, a lot of times they wouldn't do any work at all. And the only time they would do work is literally on the last day at the last second and put together, you know, couldn't really get them to do their part. And I was warned of this prior to even moving to Thailand, as a student going to Thailand from the counselor, but the counselor was Filipino, right? So, you know, going to school with some of the women, there was like there's a handful I could probably name on one hand that were cool, right? And I'm starting to think back, like, were they even tied with some of them? Like, some of them, like the women that I frequently spoke to that said hello to me that were cool with me was like, um, they were from other places, the other exchange students at the university. The Koreans, the Vietnamese, the Chinese, um, Japanese. They were all cool and friendly with me, but for the most part, Thais, even if you saw them out in public and you have class with them, they would kind of just like, walk past you and act like, oh, okay, whatever. you know. Um, so I'm not trying to put my experience, because it wasn't 100% that felt that way at the school. Most people that I noticed that that were friendly, that said hello when they saw you, most of them either they were like half Thai, half Chinese, because there's a lot of Chinese Thais in Thailand, or like they were dating a foreigner, right? So, and that's a totally different video about their mindset as well. Um, Obviously, teaching over there, I mean, I'm not looking at high school students. I'm just talking about, the approach, the friendliness that you get from people. And I know this is about adult women that I'm talking about, but the only time that um somebody probably was just uh in a working environment or in a school like environment, whether I was attending school or I was teaching at a school, you know, the, the friendliest ones were like the students that you teach. If you're funny, then whether you're at the school or the students, sometimes they like hanging out at the malls on the weekend or after school, and they see you, they're happy to see you, they say hello. But as far as in the dating world, this is the area that I'm focusing in. It's kind of there's a lot of different moments that you'll have with women over in Thailand that'll make you say, huh? Like, why wait, what? Wait, she's upset. She's angry? Huh? She's mad? Like oh, like, okay, damn, I didn't expect that reaction. I've never gotten that reaction, right? So a lot of times, especially with brothers, man, women, they don't understand. Well, I'll just say jokes coming from you, right? Playful little jokes coming from you. They don't really, they act like they don't understand. They don't, it's just like, right? Whereas, like, I'm not saying playful jokes that you have with other women in America that it just always lands a certain way. But, especially if they don't like you, you know, they'll make sure it's just like, okay, I see what you're doing. I don't even like you. You can't even play with me like that. You know what I'm saying? But in Thailand, it's it's on a totally different level. Uh, Asking women, do they have children offends them in Thailand. Hey, do you have kids? And some women, they'll say yes. Some women, some women, they'll just answer the question. Yes, I have one. Yes, I have two. Or no, I don't have any. Right. And then some women, they, they, in many cases, some of the women, they don't have kids, but just the fact that you ask them that they got kids, they get offended. I never forget one time I was using Thai Friendly, right? So in Thailand, they use, hold on real quick. What's this? I've been getting a lot of spam text messages and phone calls lately. Like, I don't even recognize these area codes. Where's this area code from? San Francisco. But anyways, so I was using Thai Friendly, right? Because out there, the dating apps that they use, they use the Bumble and stuff like that, but they'll use like Tinder, they'll use Thai Friendly. Thai Friendly is like a popular one. So I'm on Thai Friendly. I matched with this girl and I'm talking to her and I asked like, hey, do you have any kids? And then she gets pissed off. Why are you asking me this? Why this? Why that? Why are you asking me this? I'm like, and by this point in time being in Thailand, I'm used to women, a handful of women every once in a while getting offended when I ask, like, hey, do you have any kids or not? Right. And then what she did was she told somebody else, on the app, a white dude who was using the app. I guess she was talking to multiple guys at the same time. She told a white dude that she was talking to on the app that I asked her if she had kids. The white dude, so she gave the white dude my screen name, and the white dude messaged me and was like using a whole bunch of racial slurs, calling me the N-word and stuff like that, talking about why the F, why the fuck you calling or you asking her if she got kids and this and the third, you N-word, and this, that's disrespectful in Thai culture to be asking them if they got kids. It's disrespectful in a culture to ask women on a dating app if they have children. It's never disrespectful to ask women in any culture if they have kids. It's never, especially in the context of the conversation, right? If we're at a company dinner and you're a part of the office and I've never met you before and we have a conversation and I don't have any kids, but let's say I did have kids and I started talking about my kids or whatever, and it's just like, everything's been going good, but the kids are a handful. Do you have kids? Oh yeah, I got kids. I know what you mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, when is it inappropriate to ask somebody if they have kids? Right? If it has, like, I don't. Depending on how you word it, it's never really inappropriate ever to ask anybody if they have kids. Now, if I'm trying to bag groceries, if I'm, at Tops or Signature grocery store in Thailand, which these are popular grocery stores, I like going to Signature more than Tops. So if you ever go to Thailand, go to Signature. There's one in M Quartier Mall. There's another one in Central Bangna Mall. I know of two places. I would always go to the one in M Quartier. But anyways, if I'm buying groceries at a grocery store in Thailand and you're ringing up my products and I didn't, I just said, hey, and you're ringing up my products. I'm just waiting for the total to pay for my stuff and you bag it. And I'm like, hey, you got any kids? It's like, wait, like that's kind of weird. But if we're asked, if we're having a conversation and the conversation is flowing and the way there's and I ask you the question, there's never really an inappropriate time when two people are engaging in conversation for me to ask if you have children, especially on a dating app. That should be that should already be on your profile, right? But if it's not on your profile, I'm going to ask you. But you send somebody racist over in my DMs to spew racial slurs at me, and then he was talking about meeting up or whatever. I'm like, the place you want to meet up, I live here. I live off this train station. The train station is right outside. Like, all right, pull up then. Dude never pulled up, right? This was years ago. But this is the lengths that women will go to. This is how offended women get over there, right? And I'm not saying I've never been disrespected by women in America. Of course I have. But there's different levels of disrespect that I've experienced from women in Thailand that I've never experienced in America. You guys have heard me talk about the story many, many times when I met up with a friend in Pattaya. We go to 808. No, we go to Flex. And then he starts introducing me to different girls in the club. And one of them, like, he's like, hey, this is my homegirl, yada, yada, this is my homie, you know, so-and-so, hey, you know, I'm introducing yourselves and blah, 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 blah. So somebody tapped him on the shoulder real quick and he turned his head. But when she saw him do that and he wasn't looking, she had spat in her hand to hold her hand out for me to shake it. And I'm like, did you just spit in your hand? I'm like, hold on. I'm like, who? So I talked to him. I'm like, who are you introducing me to? This woman just spat in her hand to try to hold her hand out to shake my hand. And then he was like, hey, man, did you just do that? Why would you do that? And she didn't want to answer the question. So he gives her an excuse, talking about, oh, she must be drunk. I'm like, nah, man, damn that. Right. And I left shortly afterwards. But it's like I've never experienced that from anybody ever. Right. Well, I could go on and on and on and on. I met a lot of racist women, racist Thai women on dating apps. That's in person, never, but on dating apps, yes, right? Because the conversation didn't go right. You know, I can't tell you how many times a conversation just did not go right, and it's just I don't want to meet up with you. You know, and I'm like, it didn't go right because I asked you, do you have any kids? And now you're pissed off. But now I'm an N-word to you because I asked you if you have children. Like, this is a dating app. Everybody should know that, right? You know, there's just sometimes, you know, and that's just how apps go when you're talking to somebody and they're just giving one word answers. Did I rely on apps? No, but you know, there were women I dated from universities. You know, there were women that I met at certain classy establishments, right? But for the most part, a lot of people either they meeting a girl off some dating app, they might message random women on Facebook, or you know, they met them at the university if they attend a university. But most people that are meeting women out in public or in Thailand, it's either at a club or in a bar somewhere, or at a club or online, one or the other. All right. Now, are these the best places to meet women? No, right? But it's you do what you can, and this is why I've always said, hey, you know, try, going to different campuses, get you a backpack, you know, a- attempt, try to look like you fit in there and ask, somebody that's cute if they can show you where the administrator's office is, or what do I register, or what do I do this, where's the canteen, stuff like that. So um somebody who's nice enough will probably guide you over there, and then you can spark up a conversation, right? So, but anyways, I mean, I've had plenty of conversations just go left in Thailand. You know, um, you're talking to somebody for the first time on a dating app, and they're telling you what you need to be doing for them, and it's kind of like, what do you mean? What I need to be doing for you? I need to spend this and spend that and do this and do that, and I don't. Who are you? Like, you're not entitled to my money that I spend. Like, who are you? You're like, who are you to be making a list of demands towards me like this? Then comes like the racial slurs sometimes, and it's just, then you block them. Many times. I remember one time I'm having a conversation with somebody, and the conversation just kind of took an interesting turn, and then she kept saying bro, and um homie and shit like that. And I'm like, why are you calling me bro? I'm not your bro. All right. Oh, would you rather I call you, and then she used the N-word? Is that a better fit for you? Well, I remember I took a screenshot of that. That's in my iPad. Right. It's man, and then like being in a relationship with a Thai woman, it's just up and down, and it'll go well. It might go well for a couple of months, and then it's just like that 1 month. It's almost like that must be the month of the full moon or something like that. They just get very, very emotional, and they start complaining and crying and whining about different, like nothing, right? And then they want to block you. It's like, and a lot of this of what I'm saying, if you've been following my Patreon page, if you've been following me on YouTube, I'm not lying. All right. On my Patreon page, you know, I've done entire, even because I took down some of the old live streams on my Patreon page. Like I talked about different stories on like women, one woman who was upset over some guy that she was dealing with, who so happened to be like a black guy. And it's like, then 6 or 7 of her female friends over in that area would join in and all start using the N-word, start bashing black women also, N-word bitches and shit like that. And I've done several stories breaking that down before in the past. One story in particular that I did on my Patreon page, and I showed the receipts. I showed the actual posts that were from Facebook from these women. This woman claimed that there was some guy in the military who visited Thailand, and he needed money for his visa renewal or something like that. So she gave him money, and then and then he left without paying her back. So since he left without paying her back, now he's a bunch of N-words, and him and his family and his sisters, they a bunch of N-words and shit like. And the guy actually chimed in on the post and said, No, the only reason why it's like I had the money is just that, sometimes when you travel abroad, depending on um, your bank will shut down your card. And and if it's on a Saturday or whatever, you can't really call them to unlock your card until like Monday, right? So he was probably heading out, that Monday or that Tuesday or whatever. And he asks, like, hey, my card isn't working. I need to renew my visa. I need to do this, that, and the third. And I have money. See, this is my bank account, but I don't have access to it right now because, traveling, there's like a travel ban or whatever on my card. So I can't use it. Can I borrow some money to do this and go handle this Monday morning at the immigration office? And then once I unlock my card, I will give you money. That's how he explained it. He was like, I called you all day Monday and Tuesday to give you your money back. You didn't pick up the phone. you blocked me for whatever reason. And I believe him because that's what a lot of women over there in Thailand, they just block you for no reason. Right? Somebody owes you money. The moment you give them money, you block them. But then you go on this N-word rant on social media how you didn't get your money back, but you blocked them and they've been trying to contact you to give you your money back for days. And then it's like, oh, I just got on my plane and I left. Right. And then 5 or 6 of your other friends are joining in, calling him an N-word also. It's a lot of that going on in Thailand, right? I would say the percentage of women where it's a very small percentage of women that you're going to meet where things just kind of go smoothly, right? And most of the women that you're going to meet that go smoothly are probably going to be women that if you meet them on college campuses, all right? And even then, things don't go right. Right. I remember one time I was dealing with this chick. I would go to her place. She lived like right across the street from the college campus. But I said, hey, come over to my spot one day. And she was like, all right. I said, yeah, show up tomorrow around about 2:00 in the afternoon. She was like, all right. She never showed up. Right. Never heard from her. I'm like, okay, I'm not begging you to come over to my spot. Like I gave you a time and date. I gave you instructions to come over. Never came over. And when we walked past each other on the campus, she would just kind of like stare at me or whatever, as if like, and there's some women like that. Same thing with Panama, right? Same thing with Panama. Panamanian women, they think like I don't call you, you call me. And there's a lot of women that are like that in Thailand, where it's like, I don't go to your place, you come to my place. And it's kind of like, well, between you and me, I have the nicer spot that's more comfortable. So, but it's just so much pride and ego, and no, I make a man bow down to, and I give him instructions to do. It's borderline feminism. That's what it is. And then on top of that, it can have a little bit to do with your race. Now, if you was from the dominant society, then I'll go to wherever you want me to go. But with you, it's just like, I don't go to you, you come to me. It's that sentiment. How do I know? Man, there's been a few times when I'm talking to women, and then for whatever reason, she says something disrespectful, right? You're mad because I asked you stuff to get to know you. You're mad because I asked if you got kids. You're mad that I asked you if you have tattoos, right? You're mad that I asked you how tall you are. And then I'm like, so you get mad, and I'm telling you, like, why don't you calm the fuck down? Like, I'm just asking you regular questions so I can get to know you, right? And then their rebuttal is, nobody out here likes black, right? I will get that multiple times also. Like you're lucky I'm even talking to you, right? You're in Thailand, nobody likes black. You know, women out here, they don't even want black babies. It's just like, okay. I remember one time I was talking to a girl and she was like, um, actually she got kids. She was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. And then she was just like, yeah. And then like out the blue, she was like, yeah, I don't want black babies. Black babies are ugly. I said, excuse me, did you just say what I think you just said? She was like, yeah, black babies are ugly. So to further explain why you feel like that, she was like, yeah, I'm like, so why are you talking to me if you don't like black babies? She was like, well, I get, I like light skinned babies. Light skinned babies are better. I'll get with a light skinned guy, and if I have babies with a light skinned guy, then y'all have his babies. I'm like, but I'm not light skinned, so why are you talking to me? Right? This is Thailand. This this is Thailand, and brothers over there, um, that are light skinned, in the diaspora, especially in America, it doesn't. Sometimes light skinned dudes have more of a disadvantage. You see what I'm saying? Some light skinned dudes, it doesn't matter how light skinned you are. I mean, there's some women that like light skinned men, right? But light skinned dudes from a lot of, especially black women in America, they have a lot of jokes about them. That doesn't mean that they don't, get into relationships with them or anything like that. But it's light skinned guys, dark skinned brothers, you can arguably say we damn near on the same playing field in America, especially with black women. Now, with other races of women, that could be, you can have an argument there, especially if you're dating like an Asian American or whatever, or somebody non-black. But everybody has their preference, and you don't hear women, especially black women in America, in droves just talking about, you know, if you ain't light skinned, don't fucking talk to me. You don't really hear that. A lot of dark skinned brothers, you know, uh, a lot of dark skinned brothers, they get cooperation from the women in America. Light skinned brothers too, but in Thailand, it's like you'll have a lot of. I've seen that a lot of women will say, "Man, black babies are ugly. I'll never have a black baby." Now, from a light skinned dude, I have his baby because light skinned babies are better, they're prettier, and this is that and the third. And it's kind of like, why are you talking to me? I'm not light skinned, right? And it's just like, to match with me and say that, it's weird. It's strange, man. So you see and hear a lot of that, and then by the time you sift through that many women and then you actually meet somebody, you go on a date, it's like, and the date don't really go that well. It's just, it's like, damn, it's you didn't talk to hundreds to get to the point of a date, and then the date is terrible. I remember one time I met this chick, and our first date meeting up, it was cool. Then I invited her over to my place, and while we were on our way to my spot, she was like saying like, "Damn, you meeting up with a bunch of girls and this and that." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm in a chat group, and there was like two other women in there that said that, they were supposed to meet up with you this weekend." I'm like, "I don't have anybody. I'm not meeting up with anybody else besides you. What are you talking about?" So she went in this chat group and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. And because it's like I guess it's like a chat group in Thailand, full of Thai women that like black men. And this was a single mother who said that. And I'm like, first of all, I've never talked to her before. And I was like, first of all, I've never spoken to her before. And second of all, I don't talk to single mothers. So I said, make a video of me and post it up in the chat room and watch her response. And so she recorded me, and I forgot her name or her screen name at the time. And I said, hey, whoever your name is, so such and such in this chat group, I've never talked to you. We've never spoken to each other before. All right. You can't pull up any conversations we've ever had. I don't have you added on my Line Messenger, and I don't meet up with single mothers. They're not my preference. So why are you lying? Why are you lying on me? There are some women in Thailand, they'll lie on their box to other women in the chat group. It's insane over there. Yeah, salute to Ozzy. Yeah, they want a Drake or Chris Brown looking dude. And it's not about the money or whatever, right? LeBron James could go up in the club, right? Now in America, let's say LeBron James and Mike Bibby goes into a club. Everybody's running to LeBron James. Like basketball fans, they'll be like, hey, that's LeBron James and Mike Bibby. If you're old enough, they'll be like, hey, damn, that's LeBron James and Mike Bibby. In Thailand, they're going to run to Mike Bibby, and they won't even know who he is. They'll just say, hey, man, who's this muscular, light-skinned dude that walked in? And hell, they probably won't even say light-skinned. They'll say, who's this muscular white dude that walked in next to that tall darky right there? That's what they'll say. Colorism is worldwide, unfortunately. Yeah, so, in Thailand, it's, a lot of people's, spazzing out and frustration and uncooperative behavior and stuff like that. It comes from the color of your skin. And that's not to say that people of other races don't go through issues over there. You've seen me do articles coming out of Thailand many, many times where, white dude married to his wife, he went to Belgium or he goes to Spain to visit his family. He tells the wife, hold it down, I'll be back. And then he comes back and all his stuff is gone. The safe is empty. The bank accounts are empty. Right? I can't tell you how many times I've seen that. So both sides are getting it, right? But with brothers, especially brothers that are married with children, they usually marry the baby mamas over in Thailand. And then you ask about the other kids are somewhere in like the middle of nowhere. Their other kids are in the countryside somewhere with like the extended family or their grandparents. And it's kind of like why would you keep your kids over there? You know what I'm saying? Like why if see brothers that mess around with single mothers in America, the kids are living with them, right? The kids are living with the mother and the new boyfriend, right? The kids aren't somewhere in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of America with extended family and the mother never sees them. Now, I'm not saying that never happens, but typically single mothers, the children are living with the mothers and the new boyfriend, right? You want to date me, you got to date. I'm a package deal. Thailand is not like that. And that's why I'm just like, hey, man, if you with somebody in Thailand, you got to make sure you got a rider, or if things don't work out, a lot of these mothers, I've seen them abandon their kids. I've seen it many, many times. All right. I've seen it many, many times. Now, in comparison to American women, me and the other person who we spent probably the same amount of time in Thailand. Um, when I presented this question to him, it took him like 5 minutes to answer the question. He's like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Damn, that's." I was like, "Whoo, that's a tough question." Thai women and American women. He's like, "Damn, that's tough." And we both said American women. Like between Thai women and American women, I would choose American women every single time. American women. It's not that I've never had dates go bad. I've had dates where I'm just like, hey man, I'm taking you back home, right? Meetups, but for the most part, man, when you meet somebody cool, the conversation it just flows, right? Um, the conversation it flows. You see, your problems come through. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of ratchets out here. I'm not really talking about them. I'm talking about women of class. Um, you meet a lot of people of all races out here that no matter what you look like, you can have a decent, friendly conversation with. You know what I'm saying? Like whether they're single, married couples, elderly, man, people talk amongst each other, especially in the South. You know what I'm saying? Everybody says good morning over here. Now you have some women, their mind is all over the place. Their mind is out of whack. They think like a feminist, yeah, right. They're very selfish. You see that, but they kind of play not so much the long game, but they play the man. Like if you're able to bring a woman back home in America who's working class, has to go to work throughout the week, but off on the weekends, and she's over at your place, and you become intimate, and she likes it. She likes you, right? Worst case scenario is she's juggling other guys and talking to other guys while she's dealing with you, trying to pretend that she's not, right? Or if you guys are exclusive and she's not talking to other guys, uh, they play this whole when you gonna give me a baby game, you know, when you gonna give me a baby, and they want a certain amount of kids, right? They just don't want one. A lot of them just don't want one. They, at least by two kids. If you somebody that they're comfortable with, comfortable having sex with, or whatever, they'll have at least two. They'll have at least two by you if they really like you. And then after they hit that number, anything you do that pisses them off, that sets them off, that in their minds they've tolerated the entire time y'all were together before these kids, they're going to use that as an excuse to leave you and, drag you through the court system. All right. Salute to 3D. He said Asian women hide and lie about their children. They snap back quickly from birthing children. You cannot tell they even had them. I don't think I never had an Asian woman hide their kids from me. I've had them get mad when I asked if they had kids, and some of the women that I asked that didn't have kids, they didn't even have kids. Right. Um, whereas like the one person who hid their child from me was a woman from Saint Dominica, a Caribbean woman that I met in China. All right. She kept saying that was her niece. Her daughter wasn't with her. She had like pictures on her phone and buying jewelry and stuff. Like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this for my niece. I'm like, okay. These women with these nieces, it's like, why don't you, you know, have kids of your own? She did have kids of her own. That was her daughter. But she probably started telling guys in the beginning, she probably needed that itch scratched, right? She probably really needed that itch scratch. And guys would meet up with her. And then when she would tell them she had a daughter, they probably just like, all right, bye. And in her mind, she's like, hey, man, I just got to stop telling guys that I got a daughter. So she started telling guys she had a niece. So I never had Asian women hide their children from me from my knowledge. Now, as far as like abortions, that's totally different. There's a lot of abortions in different sectors of Asia. You know, abortions, that's something totally different. All right. Um, but man, here's the thing: American women, it's like you got to be mindful when you get into a relationship. There's a lot of women you see, women, things can, you see, a lot of women in America, things can kind of go smoothly, but you kind of have to play. They only somewhat sort of go smoothly if you play the helpless, submissive role, damn near. You just kind of go with the flow of whatever the woman wants to go with. And then it's going to get to a point in time where they're not going to respect you anyways. They're not going to respect whichever direction you go into nowadays, especially with feminism. You be a man, they're saying, hey, that's toxic masculinity, and they don't respect it. And then more issues come about in a relationship, not with all women, but a lot of them in America. You kind of go with the flow of whatever she wants to go with. It's kind of like, damn, all right, you know, intimate wise, bedroom wise, he's doing his thing, but it's like I don't really respect him as a man. So they might go try to seek that masculine energy elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Then you got these women with these YNs. They getting tossed and flossed around by these YNs, and they juggling a bunch of YNs around. So it's not that people aren't having sex in America. It's not like they can't get a woman to come over for the night and have cool conversation and y'all do y'all thing for the night, right? The confusion and the dysfunction comes after you get up from the bedroom, right? But in Thailand, it's like, if you're a black man going over there, it's extremely difficult to find fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, and a clean background. It's not really that easy for brothers over there. So the only way you probably getting a certain level of affection, right, within a short amount of time of you being there is really you gotta tap into the red light district of that world over there, right? And that could be sketchy, right? Now, you're probably going to have your ratio of, okay, that went well versus it not going well is probably going to be better than you dipping off into the the sex worker route over here, right? I think people would be more comfortable dealing with a sex worker if that's your thing over where it's openly acceptable over in Asia than dealing with a sex worker over here in America. All right. My Filipino ex had a niece she favored more than her other nieces and nephews. She always said that was her niece, but I had my doubts. You got to be a simp in America to have a successful relationship until she gets tired of you and leaves you for a Pookie or Chad that dogs her out. Yeah, even like the baby boomer generation, like, man, my parents, they just an old couple right now, but my mom is very masculine and domineering in the relationship and loud, and my dad watches his tone and doesn't want to make my mom mad so that she doesn't yell at him, and he's at that stage in his life now. But it's like I'm pretty sure she wasn't like that in the beginning stages of their relationship. I'm pretty sure it wasn't like that, but that's how it is now. You see what I'm saying? So that person you meet in the beginning is not the same person you're going to meet after kids. or, once you get into a marriage with that person, right? So out here, it's like a lot of women, as far as pleasure and just kicking it, you can find a woman for that over here in America. Now, as far as a woman playing her role and that wife role, that wife material, that good girlfriend, that's difficult nowadays. That's what's difficult, right? Finding a woman who is um somebody that's traditional, that you saw, whether you saw your grandmother or your mother uh being that woman towards your grandfather or your father, right? That's very difficult nowadays. It's a new day and age now. But over in Thailand, it's like you got women that, you know, just a conversation to go smoothly without having some weird reaction behind it. It's like, and I'm not saying that's all women, but I'm gonna say a good majority of the women, you know, there's gonna be some women that, hey, I don't want to be seen talking to this person while other people from my community see me talking to this person. You're gonna Most of the time you're gonna meet women who, especially brothers, you're gonna meet women that don't really care about their culture like that. They'll try to use their culture to manipulate you, but when it comes down to it, and they'll tell you one day in the heat of the moment, they'll be like, I don't give a damn about anything about my culture. They'll tell you that. But the whole time, they keep talking about their culture to manipulate you, to get you to kind of control you. I think that there's endorphins that release in a lot of women's brains when it's kind of like, man, I made him do this. So I got him to do this and do that. And it's kind of like, it wasn't even a reason to get this person to do that. You just wanted to do that to see if they would jump when you say so. You see what I'm saying? So most relationships, like the longest relationship I had it was with a Korean woman, and there was one Thai woman, but the Korean woman, it was just smooth, you know what I'm saying? Whereas like with the Thai woman, it was off and on. And then when we was off, I was with another Thai woman, a Thai chick that went to a different university, right? Didn't grow up with her father, but her stepdad was Chinese. And, but her mother didn't even give her stepdad a baby. You see what I'm saying? And then, you know, then the other chick will come back around, and then this woman would act up, but she would get upset about nothing. It's like, to kind of have but you see that there's certain things that I don't want to put everything just on Thai women. You see that over here in America where a lot of women, like, 80 to 85% of the issues that you have in a relationship with an American woman, like those issues would have never brought up had they swallowed their pride and just, had a conversation with you or told you how they felt or was nice about it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of pouting and reacting, you could have just said like, hey, can we do this instead? Or can we not do that? Or, you know, now it's just communication is not, like, I've said this ever since, I want to say 2010, about 2010, 2011. I've noticed women in the West, most women, they just don't have, communication skills are piss poor. Modern women, not saying all women, but a lot of modern women that of, a certain generation, in a certain age bracket, right? You have a lot of ratchet women in America that they're involved in violence and dysfunction and the type of guys they deal with. I'm not even talking about them, right? If I saw Flacco on Instagram say this, Flacco from the No Jumper podcast. I think he's from Liberia. He's cool, but he said he makes posts being funny, talking about, man, find you somebody's baby mama to settle down with and live happily ever after. I thought that was funny. Man, if you want to find somebody to go steady with for a couple of years or whatever, I mean, that's too easy to find a baby mama. And you don't take things too seriously. You just kind of go together. Y'all scratch each other's itch, if you know what I'm saying, and do y'all thing. But other than that, like, just don't get her pregnant. That's the only thing in America. There's going to be issue. It don't matter what type of woman you deal with around the world. There's always gonna be arguments. She's always gonna feel some kind of way about something that is it's kind of like, why are you upset about this? Why are we having an argument about this? Don't argue with me about this. You know what I'm saying? That's not, their emotions, it just takes over them for no reason. They'll inflict chaos into a relationship when it's kind of like what for what? Like, we're having a good time. Why? Right? Thing about American women, it's not that you can't sleep with them. It's not that you can't go steady with a chick over here. It's just that, they have a lot of these women, they have an agenda, right? They want you to get them pregnant. They want you to give them a baby, not a family. They want you to give them a baby, right? The sperm bank, they want to be able to look at their baby daddy's genetics and say, hey, that's a handsome dude right there. He tall, he working his move in the bedroom. He kind of funny, ambitious, right? Or whatever. Or fearless. That could go either way. And they decide to procreate with that person, but in their minds, they don't know what they want, but they know, okay, I'm not going to stay with this person forever. I just want a baby. And if I feel like staying with this person, then so be it. But if not, then, at least I got a baby out the deal. Right? Thai women, especially if you're a dark-skinned brother, it's just like, they avoid you like the plague. That skin color you got, they avoid you like the plague. And naturally, most of them, they're not even that light. Like this photo right here, they're not naturally, most of them aren't even born that light, right? Naturally, most of them are born very, very dark. They only got that light through skin whitening products, right? This is not an accurate representation of most Thais when they're born, right? It's just the skin whitening products, being used on them ever since they were a baby. This is the result of that, when they got older. But but it's in both places there's a lot of dysfunction. But if you're an American, you go to the gym, it's not that you cannot find a woman out here. It's just that you're like, damn, I think it's too dangerous if I'm dealing with this person right here. I don't like their mindset. I don't like the way they think. I don't, I don't, this person, they sound kind of selfish. They sound, self-centered, like they have an agenda, like they got their whole life plan for themselves, right? And not as a team. See, women out here, they just don't understand teamwork, right? in their minds, they think, okay, I am trying to work with this person. No, they're not. No, they're not. And then when you point out the obvious, now it gets, it gets too uncomfortable for them. But women out in America, it's like you have issues with the quality of women that you're dealing with, that you're already in a relationship with, or you have been in a relationship with, right? You've had an issue with the women, the quality of the women that you have been with. Whereas like in Thailand, you having issues with the women that you're not with, that you haven't been with. So you keep going lower and lower and lower. You start going into the gutter over there to meet women. And now you're dealing with all sorts of problems. You're dealing with women with a bunch of tattoos. You're dealing with women with some kids. You're dealing with women that are very, very promiscuous, right? You like guy number 732, right? You know, having that many men insert themselves into them, it causes a lot of, mental issues in a person, in a woman, right? So a lot of these guys, they pull in, and then the women that they pulling out of these clubs aren't even that cute, right? So, and they're not being safe. They running around sleeping with, every guy that they haven't slept with that looks new in that club, and they're not really being that safe. And then they come your way. Pause. Right? So meeting women out of clubs, all right, you just there for one thing and one thing only. But it's kind of like, I'm like, damn, like you could have paid for this. You could have just went on a website and paid for somebody to look better than that. Right? You trying to tell me about, some big land well that you met at Club Flex. You see what I'm saying? You trying to brag to me about that refrigerator you met at Club Flex. I never forget one time there was this, I think he was African. There was this African dude. He was tall as hell. He had to have been like 6'9". And there was some Thai woman he was talking to that was also tall also. But she was morbidly obese, and they got into some argument, and then she started slapping him in his face, and I'm like, man, let me get up out of here, because I don't even acknowledge women that big, right? You can't even talk to me and be that big. You can't even say hello or good morning to me and be that big. Going to clubs and bars to meet women for long-term relationships, red flag. Yeah, but I mean, that's the obvious, but you can't tell a lot of these guys that go over to Thailand. Brothers who go to Thailand, see, I'm not saying that they're going over there to meet them for, actually, yeah, it is a long-term relationship, because they add these women. It's like, hey, I want to link back up. They're like, hey, I don't care. I know we're not together, whatever, and I can only go over there every couple of months, but, just make sure that your schedule is open and clean when I get over there. So they kind of know that they're messing around with other dudes, but it's like, hey, just make sure that you're available for me when I get over there. And, that might happen for like the first 2 or 3 times or whatever, but then it's like, then the fourth time they get used to you, they start becoming very disrespectful, and the relationship, it just goes downhill. It gets worse, right? So yeah, man, it's so it actually is a long-term relationship, but it's like, to them it's nothing serious, but it's a long-term relationship, where it's like, hey, over the years I've been messing with this chick that messes around with everybody in the clubs. but she just makes sure her schedule is open to me and open for me when I go over there. And it's kind of like, look, man, it's just best that you pay for it. I'm not saying that you can't find a regular girl over in Thailand. I'm not saying that, but even regular girls that I've met over there, their minds just wasn't right. Their minds was not. I remember one time, this one dude was he was messing around with some old chick that worked at a jewelry store. Her coworker was much younger, around about my age, but her coworker, the young coworker, she liked black men. So he was like trying to put me on with the young coworker. She was cute, and then she lived right across the street from the bank. But this area was, hold on, let me pull it up, because it was like 1 block over from Hoi Kwang. I remember it was like 1 block over. So I want to say it was and I remember it was like a train station. I think a train station went through there. I want to say it was the. Oh, I'm trying to look at it right now. No, not Chatuchak. Okay, so there's Ding Dang. I want to say it was over by I think it was in this area right here, the Chalong Rat XP Toll Road. I think it was by there. Yeah, I think it was by there. That's where she worked at. And she was like, and then like the young coworker was taking advice from the older single coworker that was 48 years old with no kids. Talking about, yeah, you gotta, no, you gotta take her out. You gotta go shopping. You gotta come to her every single time. I'm like, I don't have to do a motherfucking thing. I don't have to do shit. Like, I see where y'all live at. Y'all live right across from over here. I see where you live at, right? There's no AC over there. It's a very, very old, dingy, rusty building, and I'm not judging, but nah, you're gonna have to come to me. Where I'm at is where the AC is at. I'm in IDO, right? I'm in an upscale, high upscale condo over here. What sense? Like, why? Like, I'm not saying I would never go to your place, right? But if I'm dating somebody and I'm in the projects, but this woman that's interested in me lives in a $500,000 home in the South, where do you think I'm going to be spending most of my time at? You think I'm be like, you think I'm going to have that much pride and ego and be like, no, I don't. The fuck, I don't go to you. You come to me. Yeah, if you ain't scared to be with me, pull up in the projects. Yeah, don't worry about them guys in the front. Just pull up then. Like, come on now. Like, I want to upgrade my life. So it's best if I hang around, especially in neighborhoods like that, and try to fit in. Because if I soak in that energy, maybe I'll be able to attract that kind of energy and attract the kind of money that would allow me to purchase a home like this, right? Or to be able to make friends and do business with people like this. Yo, just tuning in on my 30-minute break. Salute to All In 4 times. Salute to All In, right? So, man, between Thai women and American women, I put it to you like this. If you're going over to Thailand and you're trying to, I mean, of course, you flying over that far, you want to have fun. But if you're trying to have fun, then all right, cool, Thailand. But make sure with that fun, you got the funds, right? Make sure you spend the money for that fun. Put your pride and your ego to the side and stop going over. This is for black men and black men only. Stop going over there trying to pull women out the clubs just off GP, right? But like, hey, I want to be able to run game. That running game that don't really work. Game don't work in Asia. All right. Game work in America. Game don't work over there. Stop trying to go to the clubs and you're going to do these dirty, seedy clubs over there where most of the women are trying to act like hood rats. They overweight, bunch of tattoos, nasty looking, body count through the roof. All the women you swear up and down that you're trying to avoid, you taking her back to your room. You taking that woman right back to your room. You might as well, if you're going to take that back to your room, you might as well take a woman who is in the game, who's a sex worker, who's charging a low price that look better than the women from the club at 808 or Flex or what's that other one in Bangkok that a lot of people go to? Sugar, right? Club Sugar. And if you are going to go to the club, go to Tong Lor, go to Demo, go where Demo is, those clubs over there. Yeah, spend time over there and pull women over there. They are really women that are like middle to upper women to high, like middle class to high class women. They hang out over there. They party over there. Right. But if you go to the slums and these dirty hole in the wall clubs on Walking Street, and like I don't even see guys pulling dimes out of there. You might as well just get you, and I'm not saying don't, because it's kind of like, well, I also want to catch a vibe too, right? Yeah, you could pay for the sex worker during the day, but it's like at night, I also just want to go to the club vibe. And if I see a woman over there, I want to talk to women. I want to meet her friends and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not against that at all. But at some point in time, if you're going over there for fun, you got to be putting some money in the streets, if you know what I mean, over there in Thailand, right? If your whole time you just trying to catch a vibe in the club the whole time, then like really, I see guys, man, like most brothers, they don't like paying, and they pull a lot of the dustiest women over there, and you got to be real dusty to to be getting ran through like that in the club, and money ain't on your mind, and then you look down on women who do take money for sex, but it's like you didn't. I mean, your body count is in the thousands, right? There's some women, their body count is every night they pulling somebody out the club, and they're not, but they think that morally they're a better person because they're not charging, but you still pulling a different guy out the club every single night, right? Whereas like in America, I mean, meeting somebody anywhere, and then just going steady with each other, messing around with each other. I mean, you can meet a woman like that anywhere in America, right? It's just you're probably not going to get the woman who is wifey material. It's just like, okay, this ain't a wife right here, but she cool to just kick it with, once a week, twice a week or whatever. She never says no, you know what I mean? But then when she gets pregnant, and then when you take it too far in marriage, Now that's when you run into problems. They'll get the government to go after your resources. All right. So, does anybody want to chime in? Let me drop a link right here. I just posted up a link in the comment section. You have to be on StreamYard in order to hit that link to talk and give your 2 cents. I like to hear what you got to say. Links for the Patreon page is in the description box below. I am going to upload a Patreon video. Something interesting happened to me over the last couple of days that I want to talk about. But you know, I'm not saying that one is that much better than the other, but I'm gonna say American women are slightly better than Thai women. I gotta keep it real. I gotta be honest. All right, but anyways, back to what I was saying. Patreon page link is in the description box below. Gonna upload a brand new Patreon video after this, as soon as I get off of here, and then the Facebook page link is in the description box below. Check that out. Link is in the description box below. StreamYard link is on the StreamYard comment section. And as you can see, I got the link above right there. All right. So, Thailand is one of the most visited or the most visited country in the world. So everybody wants to go to Thailand to experience Thailand, in one form or another, whether it's the food or the fun, the malls, the movie theaters, the markets, the riverboat taxi, Asiatique, you name it. Like, I'm not saying there isn't something for everybody. There's something for everybody in Thailand, right? But if you're somebody who's like, man, I'm thinking about relocating over there to find a good woman, man, brothers over there, especially if you're a dark-skinned brother. Now, if you're a light-skinned brother, that's why a lot of the light-skinned brothers on YouTube, they have a lot of good things to say about the women over there, right? They were like, hey, man, I have no issues over here. And then they'll tell other men online and they'll say, hey, brothers, man, it's too easy getting women over here. Why are you wasting your time over in America? But it's a light-skinned brother online telling all black men, hey, just come over here. It's way too easy. And they're not considering, okay, you're light-skinned, they're more drawn to you than somebody dark-skinned. There's a lot of colorism. They don't factor in. And that doesn't matter. I'm black. Look at me. Look at who I'm with. Look at me. And it's like, they don't consider you black. Like Steph Curry, they don't consider him black. They call him tan. Oh, he's tan like me. That's what they say about like Steph Curry. You see what I'm saying? Who else? Well, you know what I'm saying? Chris Brown, they don't consider him black. They consider him tan. Thais barely consider Will Smith black. They actually say that he's tan. I've heard a lot of people say that he's not black, he's tan in Thailand. I've heard a lot of Thais say that. So if you light skinned, man, or lighter, then Thailand is great for you. But if you're a dark skinned brother, you're gonna run into a lot of problems. I remember there was this one African from Guinea, and he used to be dark skinned. He got a hold of that cake soap. He became light skinned. Found him a wife, married her, had a kid with her. I'm like, oh damn! Like I didn't know until months later after knowing him that he used to be dark skinned. Like I saw an old photo of him, like it was just like Vibes Cartel. Just I'm just like, okay, damn, that's weird. All in says 808. I seen a brother make it rain 20 baht. Also, the chicks in 808 don't look that good. I agree. However, I do like Mist and Republic. I've never heard of Mist and Republic. They might be new, and if they're not, then I never heard of those places. I wasn't into the nightlife scene in Thailand. I literally just stayed away from it. I went out to Club Sugar. I think I only went to Sugar once. I stayed in there for a little bit and I walked out. I went to Khao San Road twice. I would go to the night train markets, and I only went to Pattaya like 2 or 3 times. That's it. And I went out twice in Chiang Mai. No, 3 times I went out in Chiang Mai. I went out 3 times. All right, but the only country where I went out like all the time was China. China, that's Beijing. Beijing, I went out every single night over there. Well, not every night, but I went out often in Beijing. I would stay out till like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm dark skinned, but I look very American. I had a South American chick tell me she could tell the difference from me and a Brazilian. She said I was American as fuck. Yeah, like they know when you're American. But see, it's like you're talking about a Brazilian woman. You see what I'm saying? And Brazilian women, you're gonna, even being dark skinned, you're gonna get cooperation over in Brazil. Whereas like, why? Because Brazil, outside of African countries, Brazil is the blackest country in the world outside of the countries in Africa. But there's more black people per capita in Brazil than in the Caribbean, than Haiti, than Jamaica. All right. So it's like you going to a Latin American country is just like, oh, okay, damn. Well, I can tell he's not one of us, but he looks like one of us. That's all that is. Same skin tone. We could tell that the way he carries himself, he's American, but we know he's not from here. So yeah. But I know it's not saying much, but I would definitely go with an American woman. And let's not act like we've never met, especially if you're charismatic, you put yourself out there, you take care of yourself, you are going to run. Like, we've all been with an American woman. It's just that, see, if that, if the court system wasn't the way it was, the way it is in America, then trust and believe, like, most of us wouldn't travel. Most of us wouldn't travel. Now then, with that being said, a lot of women would probably take matters into their own hands and, you know, get somebody else to do their dirty work for them. But it's like, if you're dealing with a square chick who comes from middle class, then you're going to you're dealing with a square chick that comes from middle class. And the court system isn't the way it is now. then I think more of us, there wouldn't be as many passport bros. America is so bad. I used to get nice sweats about paying child support, no children, by the way. Yeah, it's just, I don't mind taking care of my kids, but it's like, come on now. It's like, damn, I made a child with you, and now all of a sudden you just don't like me no more. And then you want to take my kid away, and then you want to limit. You see, like, look at Halle Bailey and DDG, right? Now, I don't watch DDG. I think he's a cornball. I think he's corny as hell. I don't like his music. I don't watch his streams. I don't think there's the only streamer that I think is cool is Duke Dennis is cool. And um that's about it. Right. And whatever platform that Charleston White goes on, that's what I watch, whether it's a streamer or YouTuber. But if you look at DDG and Halle Bailey, they was like inseparable before the kid came around. Before the child, it seemed like they was inseparable. They looked like a really, really cute couple. You'd have thought they got married. You'd have been like, damn, he done found him a good one. She looked almost innocent, right? Fellas, there's a lot of Halle Baileys. That should be my stream for tomorrow. There's a lot of Halle Baileys in America before the baby and after the baby. Now that she had the baby, look at how she's treating him. Look at what she's doing to him. That woman has mental health issues. She lied on him, said that he chipped her tooth and abuse, and it was like when you chip your tooth. I wasn't even in town. He wasn't even in town when she chipped her tooth. He was in Colorado when she got on live talking about, man, I chipped my tooth. I got to go to the dentist. And they pulled up the receipts. They was like, no, he was in Colorado at the time when you chipped your tooth. So, yeah, there's a lot of Halle Baileys out there, but see, the problem is you don't impregnate the Halle Baileys. You don't marry the Halle Baileys, right? So that's the only thing. Women are cool in America. Just don't get them pregnant. But I mean, it'll eventually end because if you don't get them pregnant, or let's say you get a vasectomy and don't even tell them the whole time, you act like you trying to make a baby with this person, but you got a vasectomy. And you didn't tell them, and they end up pregnant. You know why she ended up pregnant, right? So some of these women, they'll last as long as like maybe 10 years. 4, 5, 8, 10 years with a man. 10 years is kind of like that cutoff mark. That's the longest they'll stay in a relationship with a guy that they really, really like. And it's like, if he's not giving me no baby, he keeps pulling out, he's not trying to marry me, if I can't come up off of any resources from him, then I'll just move on and get with somebody else. Right. You at max, you have with an American woman like a 10-year limit, especially if she ain't got no kids. You have like damn near a 10-year limit. Duke Dennis confirmed he got 8 kids. I didn't know he had any kids. 20% of N-words, smashing and impregnating 80-90% of the women. Shaking my I didn't know Duke Dennis had kids. Hold on. Does Duke Dennis have kids. It's a rumor. Okay, no, that's a rumor. He says it right here. Hold on.
I do not have 8 fucking kids, which is no offense to anybody who do. But I've been actually watching y'all take that and run with it and post about it and post it in like bold print as if you know for a fact that's the case when it's not the case. And that's just what the internet is nowadays, bro. But that's not even, you know what I'm saying, what bothered me. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, the shit is just so wild to me, bro. So once again, I apologize, and it's not 7, which is wild as well. But whatever number y'all throwing out is not correct, though. But like, that's besides the point.
Okay, so he don't have 8 kids or 7 kids. So that's not true. There's another one.
We go through the same every single year. The same bullshit come up, and I would tell y'all the same thing once again that I told y'all last time. You know what I'm saying? It is none of your business. If I wanted to include y'all in my business, I would. You know what I'm saying? There's some shit that I just keep to myself, my mama and family and all those things. I do not include any of y'all because y'all are very weird. Now, I understand, bro. You know what I'm saying? You interested, you want to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Cool.
You said his baby mama exposed him. How many times baby mamas are not a trusted source? All right. You and I both know that a baby mama is not a trusted source. So come on now. But yeah, so if you didn't hear what I said in earlier in the videos, my final verdict, I'm gonna have to, between Thai women and American women. American women are cool to kick it with for a couple of months, a couple of years. Just don't get them pregnant. All right. And Thai women, don't go over there with your heart on your sleeve. Go over there with your money in hand. All right. Go over there. You know, if you're just going over there to travel, then travel. But if you're going over there to have fun with the women, man, go over there and find you a lady of the night that's charging, right? So you can pay not to deal with the bullshit. Find you a woman who's charged. And there's something else I noticed about. Here's another reason why you could tell this picture is clean. Well, is AI. Here's another reason why you could tell this picture on the screen is AI, because the streets are too clean. The streets of Pattaya are not that clean. Trust me. They are not that clean. Look at Ozzy. I just played the audio and he's still trying to reply to what 3D just said. I just played the audio of him saying he don't have 8 kids or 7 kids. So and even if he do, what does it have to do with the price of tea in China? You see what I'm saying? But just don't get caught, you know, you never meet the right one. You never meet the right one. But the thing is American women, it's too easy to find you a chick to shack up with and get it in. Once you stop pulling out, you're going to run into problems. It'll be a miracle if you find somebody that after the baby is born and then you have another one that they want to stay with you, right? That their feelings are still the same and they want to stay with you. That's 1 in a billion out here, or 1 in a million out here in America, right? But Ty, you don't have to worry about the government coming after you. But it's like, man, if let's say you do meet somebody decent over in Thailand, y'all have kids or whatever, hopefully y'all stay together, because, you know, if y'all split, then from my experience, from what I've seen, how women treat their children when they're single mothers, there's a lot of neglect. I've never seen that level of neglect before in my life. I've never seen that level of neglect. Women that are single mothers, they do not keep their kids. They're like, man, fuck you. I remember this one chick I was messing around with. Her mother had 2 kids by 2 different baby daddies. The girl I was talking to, her dad was Thai. Her younger brother, her younger brother's dad was white, and the mother left both of them. The mother left both of them. So, man, Pookie ain't smashing all the women in the community. They ain't smashing nothing that I want. What woman that Pookie is smashing with that you want? What woman that Pookie is smashing with that you want? Wait a minute. What woman in the community is Pookie smashing? Pookie ain't smashing women with fit fem. Pookie aren't smashing. They're not smashing any woman that's fit, feminine, and friendly with a stable mind. All right? Who's mentally stable. Pookie is fucking with this right here. Pookie is fucking with that. So Pookie is not fucking with anything that I'm jealous of. This is what Pookie is fucking with right here. He's fucking with that in the community. All right? He's fucking with women that look like a fucking idiot. That's setting guys up. That's what Pookie's fucking with. So he's not taking anything that I'm, come on now, he's not taking anything that I'm jealous of. Yeah. Yeah, nah. Nah. So I'm not, I've never been jealous of whatever Pookie can get. All right. So Pookie, he getting that chick that I just showed you. He getting Tracy Ellis Ross. That's what Pookie's fucking with. Young Dust Bunnies and Tracy Ellis Ross of the world. That's what he's fucking with. Pookie ain't getting up with no respectable woman. Yeah, they might have a title, right? Yeah, they might have a job title. They might be lawyer or nurse or whatever, but all right, like the job title and everything, see, that works for them because they could use them because they can't do for self. That works for them, but man, when you handling your own business, like another woman's job title don't mean shit to you. When you're handling business, another woman's job title don't mean shit to you. It means something to a Pookie because he needs an address for his PO officer. He needed an address for his PO. He got to tell his people, like, hey, you know, I'm on an ankle monitor, so I'm going to use your address and I can't leave. All right. You know, my mama's just tired of me ripping and running in and out of prison and shit like that. Like, you know, I got to be a little bit more independent. So let me use your address. Right. These feminist women out here that think they title me and they money means a bunch. Like, look at Sky Jackson from Disney, the Disney Channel. This bitch went and got an albino Pookie from Ohio, one of the dustiest albino Pookies I've ever seen in my life. This man in and out of jail toting guns, right? He don't care. As soon as he get out, he go in for a gun, he get out. He's not supposed to have guns. He's still posting up online with guns, don't care. Right? And what did she do? She got a Pookie, got pregnant, and then kicked him out on the street and started making up a bunch of lies about him. And then he got online talking about, oh man, whatever the fuck my baby mama's saying, that bitch lying, that shit ain't true. All right. All that shit that my baby mama's making up about me. See, now he used to be posted up in nice, like her nice condos and her nice ass apartment with her, right? Used to be posted up in there. The window was clean. The floor was wood, right? The bed was king size. You know, that oak wood. You know, the backboard of the bed was sturdy, that wood, right? You posted up background is 85-inch TVs in the background at her spot. Soon as that bitch had a baby by him, this man back in the trap. Dirty ass refrigerator. That old dirty ass off-white refrigerator with the wooden handle. That's what he taking pictures with now. See, a woman will use you for a baby and then put you right back out there on the street. Hell, even if you was making money for yourself, you out there on the street after they get done with you. They just use you for money. So that's why I'm saying, like, you can find you a Scott Jackson in America. You can find you a Halle Berry, a Halle Bailey, a Halle Berry, right? Mariah Mills. You can find you a Ruby Rose. You can find you, hell, not even on that level, you know, of you know, that surface level dance. What do you call these women? Shallow, not even these shallow ass women that I'm talking about. You can find you a nice woman with no tattoos, young, no kids, you know, natural hair. You can find these women to lay up with. They give you all the sex in the world, right? But do not get them pregnant. Do not get them pregnant. All right. The moment you get them pregnant, that's when they're gone. Because women today, they want the children without the man. See, if they could, if there was a sperm bank where nothing but Pookies would go to jack off in a cup with money, they would run to the sperm bank besides dealing with these men. They would do just that, but they got to do things the old-fashioned way and then fuck you over the modern way, right? Make the baby the old-fashioned way and fuck you over the modern way, right? See, in a woman's mind, after they got the baby, like, yeah, I got the dick now. You bend over. Yeah, you spread your legs now. That's how they get you in court mentally. They break you down. Yeah, You see, that's why I think a lot of women, especially out in the West, feminist women in the West, I think it fucks with them like the way men have sex with these women. I think it fucks with them mentally. I think it's almost it's like they're almost embarrassed. You think like, all right, you know, this is what women like. I'm gonna give it to them rough. You know, I'm a long stroke. I'm gonna eat them out. I'm gonna, you know, suck toes, eat ass. Right? I'm gonna pick them up and fuck them like in a baby boy across the room in the kitchen. Right? I'm gonna be nasty as hell. You think like, damn, like she ain't gonna want to go with no other guy as nasty as you get. But I think in a lot of women's minds, I don't hear them talking about this, but these positions that you're doing, you pulling the hair, you smacking the ass, you know, you going for an hour and a half in the bedroom, right? I mean, you making it hurt. I think they're kind of low key embarrassed by that shit because they so masculine. It's like they be holding back. I think in all reality, it's like I think in their mind, they're like, man, like damn, like I'm in the most vulnerable, compromising position right now. And they think like men. So it's like I imagine if a woman had you in the positions that you have her, how would you feel? You know, I think a lot of women they kind of low key think like that. I could be wrong. But anyways, man, I'm over and I'm out. You guys take care. Damn, it's almost 2 hours. So all the Patreon members, I'll see you guys on Patreon. You guys, we'll go live tomorrow. All right. Peace.